So ironically, the last time I made a video like this was for a game we all know and called No Man's Sky. And I gave it a pretty positive review for the most part within like a 5-minute video. I'd put in a decent amount of hours into it, and it was fun at that moment. Wasn't really until after I made that video and spent more hours in that game to realize it was just really a huge empty shell of a video game with lots of grinding. And now Sea of Thieves has been known to become the new No Man's Sky, a full $60 game that you will be charged for what is essentially another game of empty promises. And what I mean by that is when No Man's Sky came out, it was another fully priced $60 game, but when you cut down to the bare bones of it, there wasn't really that much to do. Now, on the other hand, I was one of the few people defending it, saying, oh, well, there's a lot to do, but then I came to realize that, yeah, when the game first came out, there wasn't that much to do, honestly. It was mainly just grind your shit and minerals so that you can sell them and then buy a new starship eventually. Now, to be honest, I do think this game is getting a lot more hate than it actually deserves, but I do understand a lot of the main critiques towards this game, so I'm gonna go over a couple of the ones that I agree with. One of the main critiques towards this game is the pricing, and I can completely understand that. It's been literally a week since the game has released, and for the content that is in the game currently, it is definitely not worth $60. Actually, another thing I came to agree with while I was making this video was the lack of players in every lobby. They do have multiple servers apparently, but there is a limit of only about 16 ships total in one server, which I do think is a bit underwhelming. I mean, come on guys, if you're gonna port this onto PC, you might as well bump it up a little bit more. But I think because Rare hasn't made an actual good game in years, they weren't used to, oh yeah, you can actually have more than 16 people in a lobby, guys, you know that, right? I know it's been a few years, but I actually don't know the last game they made, but so just don't take my word on that, but still, it just seemed like they haven't made a game in a while, so they didn't know where they can put the player cap on these servers. So I do think that is underwhelming at least, but for the most part, that was really it. And then that's really it. There's only a few other minor problems that I have with the game, but they're minor, so I don't feel like they're even worth mentioning, honestly. So let's now go into the opinions and critiques that I kind of disagree with. So let's start with the biggest critique of this game besides the price tag, the lack of content. Yes, I do somewhat agree that there is a lack of content currently in the game as far as, you know, full release day. And since then, yes, there's not a lack of content, but that doesn't mean that there isn't anything to do. I feel like a lot of people get these two things mixed up a lot, lack of content and no content. So with the people saying that there is no content, you're a fucking dumbass obviously and haven't spent too much time playing the game. And for the people who saying there are a lack of content, I can kind of understand that because alright, let me break it down like this. All the things you can do in the game, at least from what I've researched and experienced, you can just sail across the sea like a normal pirate and enjoy the aesthetics and the graphics of this game because the water is fucking beautiful. You can go on either a gold rush treasure hunt, you can go on a merchant quest, or you can go on one of those soul quests, whatever those skull things are. So boom, those are 4 things right there. You can also do PvP, which is obviously the biggest part of this game and what they were promoting. You can sail around and find extra supplies and random barrels floating in the water. You can find crashed and sunken ships for treasure and other loot that might have been in that ship at the time, whether it be a player or just another random boat that you see in the water. So that's, what, now 7 things right there I just listed? Maybe 6? I think it's 6. There's all these, like, Easter eggs, apparently, of, like, secret unmarked islands on the map and everything, and some underground cave that you can go to, and some ancient ruins or some shit that you can swim to. There's also some sort of exploration that you can do beyond just, you know, sailing the seas and doing that kind of exploring to other islands. And then, you can also fight the Kraken, which, I gotta be honest, is kinda underwhelming from what I've seen and somewhat experienced myself. And it seems the only thing you get from actually killing it is just an achievement, which I think is pretty lame rare. Like, what the fuck, guys? I thought there was gonna be some type of reward. That's what you guys kept saying. Anyway, back to... And then there are all these skull forts you can take on and just fight waves of skeletons, and then eventually a couple special ones and a boss, and then take all the fucking loot that they have at the fort. So it's not like there isn't anything to do. There is stuff to do in the game. It's not much, but once you maybe have a couple of drinks or get some friends online, you can really get into it, and it's actually really fun. Another huge critique I've been seeing has been going towards the PvP element of this game, which is the main component of this game. One being there's not enough players, and then another side of the argument where it's not even really an argument, but the two arguments that are being thrown around are there not enough people you meet in the lobby, which is kind of weird because almost every time I play by myself, I always run into another ship and they're always hostile towards me. I am getting this on video, on recording, because literally every time I play by myself, or at least with one other friend, we're always running into ships. Mainly by myself, I always run into another ship and they're always hostile. And then there's the argument from the more aggressive players in this game who thrive on PvP, and the other Twitch streamers who just sink ships to ruin your fucking life. Haha, rip. Anyway, so yeah, from their point of view, they think the PvP is kind of boring after a while, especially once you just keep going after ships and you're not finding any loot on them. And I feel like that's kind of just a dumb argument in general. Like, on the one hand, it is a PvP game, so yeah, expect to run into other players while you're playing the game. But I feel like that's just such a bitch move to say, well, I'm not getting rewarded for fucking up some other player's shit. So I think that's kind of boring. So when I'm seeing multiple Twitch streamers and then just mainly aggressive players while I'm playing the game, especially when they say things like, oh, PvP is getting boring, I'm sinking all these ships and none of them have treasure or anything like that. Well, yeah, when you're fucking going around on the internet and you're hearing rumors, oh, this Twitch streamer is, like, murking niggas on the fucking water. You're like, damn, watch out for him, son. You really did fucking become a pirate and no one wants to fuck with you or even look for treasure because they fear they're probably gonna run into you and you're just gonna sink them down. Another huge critique that I forgot to mention about was the lack of player progression. Now, people are saying that there is zero player progression whatsoever, but meanwhile, if you look, there are faction levels, and you do work towards something once you reach a certain level. They have what they call a legendary ship, so you know the mysterious stranger that you meet in the pub or the hub area when you spawn into the game? Yeah, once you reach a certain level in whatever faction, you're able to actually talk to her and go to the legendary ghost ship or whatever that is and get even better quality missions and better exotics. I think I haven't been able to grind enough in this game. I know certain people have, but so far I haven't seen any video of anyone accessing that legendary ship, so I don't know what the level cap is to get there, and if they haven't really spoken about it. So those are the main critiques that I've been seeing throughout this game's release. A lack of, or pretty much little to no content in the game, $60 price tag for an early access type game, and then PvP gets boring after a while. Some of those I can somewhat see a point of view how that would make sense, and I do agree with each of them a little bit to a very small degree, but for the most part it just seems kind of weird from just in another aspect. I don't know if that makes sense. It most likely doesn't. So I'm gonna throw out a few tips maybe. I know there are other YouTubers who have made videos, other people who have thrown out their ideas, but I'd like to throw in my own as well, you know, just to help the developers if they happen to see this video, which they probably wouldn't. But anyway, one thing I could think of that will help this game a bit is include some type of crafting system. It doesn't have to be very dynamic and fucking specific towards anything, but a simple crafting system, like you can craft your own shovels, your own swords and stuff, you know, that would be kind of cool. But one fallback that I did see, because it's not like this was my own idea, but I just threw it out there because I thought it was a cool idea. I was watching a Twitch stream, saw someone in the chat say they should add some type of crafting system, so I was like, you know what, that is a really good idea. But then he went to further explain it and make his point way more shitty, because he said, because you get a ship so easily, they should make it like No Man's Sky, where if your ship dies or crashes, you're pretty much fucked and you get stranded on an island and you have to start over. And I think that would be really pushing it and actually piss even more players off. And it was obvious that this guy hasn't played the game, and if he did, he obviously hadn't played it much, because for people who have played the game, some of the islands on there, as you know, are really fucking small. So if you get stranded on a small island and have to build a whole fucking ship, whether it be a sloop or the galleon would be 10 times worse. But just think of the resources you would need to collect just to make a standard fucking rowboat. Alright, imagine that times double that or even quadruple that for the galleon. You would pretty much be fucked if you're on a small island, because most of them don't even have the resources. Some islands literally only have 2 fucking palm trees. It's fucking hilarious, but in a situation like that, you would be pissed the fuck off and there'd be no point in even getting off that island or swimming to another one because they're so far apart, because you need the boat in this game. Another tip that I suggest they should do is work on the outposts, because how would you feel getting all this treasure, or even just one treasure chest, whatever your mission was? Just think about how long it took you to get those, whether it be short or long. You feel accomplished, you fucking dock your ship, and then there's like a whole fucking gang of pirates waiting for you at the outpost and just gun you down and take your shit right there. That is the most annoying thing in the game to me, and they do need to fix that, because honestly that's going to be a huge factor of them losing their fan base. If people can literally just camp outposts and not actually have to play the fucking game to get their treasure, they do need to fix that. Another thing, they obviously need to increase the max amount of players in each server. I mean, 16 ships, come on, that's a little underwhelming. We're in 2018 now, we have the technology where we can actually play with a lot more people, especially if this game includes cross-platform multiplayer. You should be able to play with even more people than just 16 fucking ships. Another tip that is not really needed, but I think would help the game even more, is if you create more of a presence in the game. And when I say that, meaning with like AI characters, making the world feel a bit more real and immersive, because the only type of AI you see in this game are the skeletons, the very few animal life you see in the game, the sharks, which includes the animal life, duh, and then the ones that you see at outposts for the merchants, you know, whatever the fuck you're buying off of or getting a quest from. Like, I feel there needs to be more wildlife, or a couple more AI characters that you can just meet on a random island or something, like some kind of crazy nigga who's living in one of the caves or some shit like that, I don't know. But I feel that would kind of help a bit too. Gives the game more of a presence, as if there's actual life in the game. And especially with the sea life, the only fucking animal I see in the fucking water is a shark, and that's it. I feel like there should be fucking turtles, fucking other kinds of fish, and it's especially like a fucking whale. Every time I play this game, I feel like I hear a whale or something like that, but then nothing ever pops out, and it really bums me out, because I want to see like fucking Moby Dick or something like that. I want to see a huge ass whale come out of the fucking water and just, I don't know, I feel like that would look cool to me. And my last tip for this game is that if they're gonna put in DLC, make it free, please. Don't even put a price on it, whether it be $1, just don't put any price on it. Because I'm gonna use No Man's Sky for an example right now. When No Man's Sky came out, it had the same type of release. Everyone fucking hated it, lack of content, pretty much no content, there's actually no multiplayer in the game. And then, since then, they'd been slowly adding content to the game, update after update after update. Wasn't constant, but it was enough where they were updating the game and putting more content into the game. And they didn't charge anyone for it. They all came in updates and it was all free. And a year later, the game has way more content than it ever did when it first arrived and released. And look at it now, it was pretty much able to redeem itself and revive itself as a video game, and a lot more people are playing it again. And I feel Sea of Thieves can do the same thing. So to wrap this all up, because this was supposed to be a quick look at Sea of Thieves, my final thoughts: I have fun with the game, especially when I play with friends. If you have 3 other friends to play this game with and you want a game to just kind of chill, hang with your buds, and do dumb shit, be like a pirate with your friends, this game is definitely for you. But I would definitely suggest waiting until there's a sale or they sell it with some kind of bundle on like the Humble Bundle or something. I don't know. Just wait till the game is on sale at a lowered price, because it's definitely not worth $60 for the amount of content that is currently in the game, unless you're a really dedicated Pirates fan. But thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you did like it, leave a like or a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. And then if you want to see more of my content, please feel free to subscribe. Be sure to follow me on all my social media. If you want updates on when I'm posting videos, when I'm going live on Twitch, all those links will be in the description below. This is Afro, guys, and I hope you have an awesome day. See you soon.
Oh my god.